All right, you ready to get going here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, Mikkel. All right, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, folks, welcome back to the Trauma Therapist Podcast. My name is Guy McPherson. I'm very excited to have as my guest today, Mikkel Sibe. Mikkel, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. So Mikkel has written multiple articles about men and mental health. He's working for more openness about men and mental health and doing everything from writing about it to talking about it. Currently, he's a student studying to become a kindergarten teacher. All right, Mikkel. So before we started here, you asked me, why the heck did you invite me on your podcast? And I shared with you my reason, which was, it was intuitive. I mean, I want people I'm attracted to people who are open and authentic and honest about this topic.
Yeah.
But let me ask you a question. How did you get into this field, and why this interest in this topic?
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you very much for having me on. And how I got into this field was that when I grew up, um, I kind of saw that a lot of men didn't really, or like my experience was that a lot of men didn't necessarily talk that much about mental health. They didn't really talk that much about their struggles or when someone passed away or something like that. And then as I grow up even more, I start realizing that, for example, Chester Bennington, Avicii, and all those guys are like, suddenly they just can't take it anymore, and they decide to sadly take their own life. And I started just wondering, like, is like, why didn't they talk? Like, did they talk about it? What happened there, and things like that. And then I started studying to become a kindergarten teacher, and eventually, and one of the things that is about kindergarten teacher, at least here in Norway, is that um, throughout your studies you have to go into like subjects that are really heavy, that are about how do you meet kids in kindergarten that have been exposed to things that kids should be exposed to. And throughout that, I started realizing, or I actually recognized myself in one of those PowerPoints. I started then going to talk therapy and going to like these therapists, and I really just got confirmed through that
Mm-hmm.
that there isn't a lot of men going to these, to like talk therapists or psychiatrists or stuff like that. And that just piqued my interest in like, why is that? And I just started writing about it because I started realizing that there are a lot of men out there who struggle or have had struggles in life, or but that are like stuck with this idea that we have to be masculine, we have to be tough, we have to like keep this mask on. and
Mm-hmm.
and and what happens when that mask comes off, and like you can't be that strong man anymore, you can't be that tough guy anymore. and
Let me
and,
just
and
pause you for 1 second here. First of all, so Chester Bennington was the drummer or singer
yeah, he was the singer of Linkin Park.
of Linkin Park. Okay, the band Linkin
Yeah.
Park. Um, and you said that when you were studying, or as you've been studying to become a kindergarten teacher, you had to read about topics and so forth, and you saw yourself. What did you see in that picture or film, whatever, of yourself?
Like when you're going through it and you're having these classes about it, you and as the teacher said before too, that there might be things there that some of you might recognize yourself in. And I recognized when it came to what's that called in English? Not being seen and not being heard and being like put to the side. I saw myself from like the school days back in the day when I was in like first grade and second grade, and
Mm-hmm.
and how I myself, was that kid. And it really just broke me in many ways. Like, why is this still going on, and why the first time I hear about this when it comes to kids is in a class or in a classroom setting, and not before and not after that. And it
Mm-hmm.
just really got to me. And just really wanted to like explore it more and realize that this is a because to me it all started with like writing about men and like students, in a sense, like manly students. And I quickly realized that this is a much bigger topic than just the student perspective, that this is something that is going on in our society today, that a lot of men are like a lot of men are open. Some men go to a psychiatrist, but then there are those who don't, who I want to be, you know, the guy to encourage to go that mile and to take that journey and to kind of find themselves, so that they don't end up like Chester Bennington or Avicii, or they end up doing something that they might regret in the future because of this, as I said previously, this idea that we have to be masculine and tough, and we have to be manly, if you will.
Hmm. So just to be clear, you're not a therapist.
I am not a therapist.
It
I
sounds
am,
like you're an advocate.
yeah, like I'm not a therapist. I am not a psychiatrist. I am simply a very normal student trying to get a message across and trying to tell people that maybe we should be more open about this, and maybe if you see a guy crying, maybe there's a reason why he's crying, other than
Mhm.
okay, there are tears, if you will.
So obviously you're passionate about this, and you said, you know, when you were studying and you saw yourself in that little kid, you said you were, I forget what term you used, but you were like done. You were it really got to you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And it really got to you. Why?
It really got to me because, as I said previously too, I saw myself in it. I saw it was almost like when the teacher started talking about it, it was almost like I was brought back to that place um where I was back then, when I was being bullied, when I was being pushed
Mm,
aside in school, when I wasn't um that kid with all the friends.
mhm,
And the teacher was very clear that if you're going to be a good kindergarten teacher, you have to be also be good with yourself, and
mhm,
actually said that if you have struggles in life, that you should go and talk to somebody, you should get help with it, so that it doesn't affect your work as a kindergarten teacher. And from that, and bringing me back to that place, I just, in that sense, it really just got to me, and I just really saw that like there is a place for somebody to go and talk about it and be open about it, and actually say to the guys that it's okay, that we should talk more
mhm.
about our struggles, our problems, our, and it, things like that. So yeah,
So
I think.
what did you decide to do? You said in the bio, I said you started writing, but so how did you walk us through when you decided, you know, I got to do something here. This is what I'm going to do. What did you do?
Yeah, so what I did was that when I started going to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist kind of told me that yeah, there are less men going to us, coming to me and talking and stuff. And I just, something just told me that maybe, like, in order to maybe get more men to be open and to talk about it and stuff, why can't I be that guy to kind of front that case? And so I started just by writing one article in a student newspaper, which a lot of people liked and enjoyed, and even my faculty at my school just like asked me, can we share this
No.
internally? and
What was it
and
on? What
that
was the topic of it?
the topic about it, or the topic on it, was, I actually call it Men Can Cry Too. And the topic was um, that a lot of men uh, feel that we need to be in a certain way, or we need to look in a certain way, or like there is this picture, at least here in Norway, when it comes to students, like this picture, this idea that we need to be in a certain way in order to kind of call it, if you can call it, feel like a man, or
Yep.
whatever you want to call it. And I just felt that that was so wrong, at least for the men who aren't like that. Because as I also asked in the article, what happens when you can't be like that? What happens when you can't live up to the expectations of others? And I think
Hmm.
this goes for both men and women. What happens when you can't live up to the expectations of others, and you start like realizing that this isn't me at all? What happens then? And as I am not a psychologist, I can't really tell like what happens in the brain and stuff. But
Hmm.
from my own personal experience, when you can't live up to the expectations of others, it's very easy to either find your own path or kind of fall off the path entirely, because so many people have so many expectations, and all those expectations, it for most people it just won't work, because it
Yeah.
just isn't them. And a lot of people realizes that at some point, that this isn't me. And yeah.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate what you're saying. And just again, so you're in Norway. Are you from Norway originally?
I am from Norway, living in
Okay.
Norway.
Where are you living now? In what city?
I live in Oslo.
Okay.
Yeah.
And um yeah, here in America, there's everything you're saying is it goes for the States as well. I mean, there's this sense of that, as men, we have to, just as you said, it's not cool to cry, right? There's yes, in certain circles, you can do that and you can slide by, but generally speaking, I still feel it's looked upon as kind of a weakness. Um, and it's
Yeah,
interesting too, Mikkel. Now, a lot has been coming out with mental health, with different sports figures have been coming out, sharing what's been going on with them, and I think that's really been fueling an awareness. What's it like in Norway? Is it the same? Is it more intense there with trying to keep up this aura of masculinity for men and so forth?
in many ways, how it is keeping it up here in Norway, like it's become more open throughout the years, with like the LGBT communities and with the pride parades and things like that. But uh, also in many circles, and with a lot of people that I go to university with, and a lot of people that I see around, it's always like it's the same clothes, it's the same hairstyles, it's the same, like a lot of things are the same. And in a sense, uh, a lot of people might like sit down with you if you're sad, or if you're crying, or things like that. But in many ways, you'll be told that things will be better, and there is like no other solution, and things will be better, and
Mhm.
there's very little you can like get out of it. And so just, I think that it's very important to just put more openness on it, really, and just talk more about it. That when men cry, we often don't cry, like we often don't cry in groups, or like cry with other people. We often cry for ourselves, because as a guy said in a comment section on an article I wrote, that nobody really cares, like nobody's really, like, men aren't being heard, basically. And
Mhm.
nobody really cares might be a very strong way to say it, but I'm realizing now that a lot of men.
Okay. Um, what do you think is the answer? I mean, or part of the answer. What needs to change?
I think part of the answer, and I think what needs to change, is that we need to be more open about it. Basically, we need to talk more about it, and we need to write more about it. We need more people to kind of come out and say, okay, I have struggled too. And as you said previously, a lot of celebrities have now come out and like talked about it, and a lot of famous people have talked about it. And I think that is great, and to just get an awareness that
Mm-hmm.
there is a reason why um, why men sometimes, or like why men feel like, okay, maybe I have nothing to live for, maybe I have nothing more to gain from this life, and just being open about it and telling people that there is help to get, there is always someone to talk to, so that you don't go around with these thoughts alone and go around thinking about this alone, and it becomes just this bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger thing until it's way too late, way too
Right.
far,
Right.
basically.
You mentioned bullying. I was bullied when I was a young kid, um, 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there, and it just screwed me up. It jacked up like the trajectory of my life. Seriously, how I showed up in relationships and my self-esteem, confidence, and so forth. It was really um, detrimental to 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 my confidence. And a lot of people, when they hear bullying, they're like, oh, kids are going to be kids, get over it, da, 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 da. But it was something that really impacted my life, and it wasn't something that I talked about a lot about, really, until I started doing the podcast, actually. And even then, it
Yeah.
took a little while too. um so let me just remind everyone, I'm speaking with Mikkel Sibe. He's a student from Oslo, Norway, and really championing, I would say, men's mental health and awareness too. So what's your plan from here on out? What are the next steps for you, Mikkel?
My plan, and if I can just say, and I think it's very, very right what you're saying right now, how um being bullied at a young age, or like having things happen to you at a young age, it can really, really mess with you throughout your life and make
Yeah.
your life really, really difficult. And my thoughts on going forwards is that I am now partnering with something called Wake Me Up, which is, I'm not sure if they're a Norwegian company or if they're an American company, or but just to travel around and talk about this in schools and businesses, in like places everywhere, and talking about like how, like my talking about my own struggles, and how I overcame it, and trying to inspire people to say that, okay, so I struggle now, I have a hard time now, but it will eventually, it might get better. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's to show people that everything will get better at some point, even though you might have a hard time right now. And especially talking to the guys and telling them that even though life might suck right now, even though life might be really, really bad right now, it will eventually get better. And just, I think, traveling around, talking about it, writing articles about it, and being open about it, eventually more and more people may or may not come out, talk about it, and we might get more openness about men's
Mm-hmm.
mental health.
How, you talked about your struggles. How what were your struggles specifically?
My struggles have been very strong bullying, to the point where I started thinking and actually trying to take my own life. My struggles have also been with a lot of depression, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
um, anxiety, paranoia, and just feelings of like everything from like everything is my fault all the
Mm-hmm.
time, to um, to just, is this life really for me? Or yeah, and just
Right,
really
right.
falling under all the time.
And it was that moment when, during your training, your education, that you that things kind of, you're like, something's got to change. I got to start doing something here to help myself.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And a very short time later, I actually got a girlfriend, which I was very happy about. But I also realized throughout that relationship that my mental health isn't where it should be. My mental
Mhm.
health is yeah, as I said, not where it should be, and I need more help. And I think she realized it too and that eventually led to us, like, her going her way and me going my way, simply because of, my mental health situation, which wasn't good for her and it wasn't good for me. And it really just shows how mental health can really ruin kind of your relationships, your friendships, your family,
Right.
just because, well, something has happened to you in the past and it follows you into the present, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, all right. So, uh, are we going to be able to link up that article you wrote in the show notes page here? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, but the article is in Norwegian though.
In Norwegian. Okay. All right. So that we would obviously have to translate that. Maybe we can talk about that. I would love to be able to link to that. Where can people find you, Mikkel, online? Where?
Yeah, people can find me on LinkedIn. People can
Okay.
find me on Instagram.
Okay.
I do have a Facebook, but I don't really want people to like send me a ton of messages or anything like that on Facebook. But Instagram and LinkedIn,
Okay.
you can find me. Absolutely.
Okay. I'll have those linked up here. You can send me those links and I'll link them up at the show
Yeah.
notes page here at the traumatherapistpodcast.com. Um, so let me ask you this. If there are, a lot of therapists listen to this and non-therapists too, people who've been impacted by trauma, if there are men out there who are listening, what is the message you want to send to them?
The message I would like to send is that for men, it is absolutely okay to cry. It's absolutely okay to be open. It's absolutely okay to feel how you feel, to like have the feelings that you have. And that is my core message, that it's okay not to be like the strong masculine man all the time. It's okay to feel, basically.
Mhm. And it's even, and I think too, we have this kind of dichotomy or this binary position where if you do cry, you're not masculine. Why can't it be okay just to be masculine and cry? Why do they have to? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
absolutely.
we hold um, these images and ideals within
Yeah,
ourselves that are really, as you're saying, I think so articulately too. It's almost impossible to live up to. I mean, we're all human, right? We're
yeah,
all going to have
absolutely.
emotions, and so I think what you're doing is, I think it's really needed. I think it's needed now, and I really admire you taking a stand. I think it's awesome.
Thank you very much. And I think this really goes out, and not just to men, but also to women in
Definitely,
many ways. Yeah, just living
definitely.
up to the expectations that are impossible to live up to, basically.
Yeah, yeah. Um, all right, so we'll get you linked up with LinkedIn and Instagram. And again, I just really want to say thank you for coming on here. It's an inspiration to hear you.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the opportunity.
All right, take care.
Take care.